everybody. It's Professor Malat. Welcome to the Week 5 overview. As the information says here, last week we discussed rhetoric in greater detail, focusing on how writers consider the various aspects of the rhetorical situation, how they make rhetorical choices, and how they use the various rhetorical appeals to persuade a particular audience. If you need to review the materials, there's a link here back to the week 4 module that you can go back and refer to anything that you may have skipped over or missed. This week, we are going to look a little bit deeper and take a look at an example of a rhetorical analysis written by a UC student. This is a rhetorical analysis of an advertisement. In this case, it's a print ad, but it's the same idea of the sort of thing that I'm looking for in this assignment. One thing that I want to make note of, and you'll see the example rhetorical analysis linked down in the readings. This example essay was written by a student in 1001. I don't expect any of you to be at that level of writing. Some of you might be there, but others of you might have a ways to go before you get used to writing solid introductions and good body paragraphs and conclusions that aren't completely repetitive of what you just said. As I said, these are things that take practice, and by no means do I expect you to be perfect in English 0099, especially not with the second essay. So this week we have a rough draft that is due of the rhetorical analysis essay, and you're going to learn a little bit more about peer review. You will be reviewing the peer paper in the following week, but I do want to give you a heads up as far as what peer review is and what's expected of you. So the objectives this week, we're going to be talking a little bit about multimodality. Many of you will have been choosing commercials, videos of commercials, and in commercials, you're not just dealing with words, but you're dealing with images, action, nonverbal communication, and music and sounds. So those are various modes. So I have some readings that will explain multimodality a little bit more, and how multimodality is used in advertising. You will also learn about the basics of rhetorical analysis. You will reflect upon rhetoric in everyday communication. You will analyze the rhetorical effectiveness in a given text, and compose a draft analyzing the rhetorical choices that are made in a particular advertisement. Lastly, you're going to learn about MLA style and format. Some of you might be familiar with MLA style and how to format your papers. If you aren't familiar, I do have materials available for you so that you understand how to do that. In most of your English classes that you will take in college, you're going to be expected to use MLA style or MLA formatting for your papers and your assignments. So it's a good thing to understand, excuse me, what's expected of you. So let's jump down here to the readings. Again, we have a couple of things relating to comma usage for your grammar, which will help prepare you for the grammar quiz. Then I have 2 readings from the University of Mississippi Ret Lab dealing with what modes are and multimodality. There's also a reading on how to write an analytic thesis. We haven't talked much about thesis statements or how to write them. So this might help you a little bit. Again, I don't expect you to develop a really excellent thesis statement right off the bat, but this is something that we will address in the coming weeks, both with my feedback to you after I receive your rough draft. I read through it and will give you feedback and comments, tips, and suggestions on how to improve your writing. The other readings, as I said, are the example rhetorical analysis essay. And with that, I have the accompanying ad that the student actually discusses in the essay, as well as a link to the Purdue Online Writing Lab. talking about MLA format guidelines. I want to open up this rhetorical analysis essay so that you have an idea of what we're looking at here. Okay, so again, you will see here the way it looks, first off, is a little bit different than some assignments that you've probably done in the past, and this is called MLA format. So this gives you an example of how it looks. I do expect you to come up with some titles, an interesting title for your paper, and then compose, of course, in paragraphs, having an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. We will talk about the particulars of the assignment once I go into where the assignment page. So that is the essay. It talks about an ad by CoverGirl using Taylor Swift as their spokesperson. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Why? Why did it do that? That's so weird. And then we have the ad itself, and this is just the image on a Canvas page. So you at least understand a little bit about what the student was talking about, and you can see how accurate they were in their descriptions and that kind of stuff. The quality of the ad isn't that great, but I think you get the general idea. Quality of the image, not the ad itself, but of the image. Next thing, we will drop down and talk about the videos that I have posted. This video here, what is rhetorical analysis? I highly recommend that you watch it. It's a short video of 5 minutes where I tell you a little bit more the types of things that I want you to try to achieve in this second rough draft, or rough draft of the second essay. I also have a couple of recommended videos talking about how to do MLA formatting in Microsoft Word, and another video on how to do that kind of formatting in Google Docs. So those are the videos. You're not required to watch them. If you already know how to do MLA formatting, then obviously it would just be repetitive to have you sit there and watch that video. But if you have absolutely no idea, if MLA format is completely new to you, then definitely watch those videos as well as read through the information on the Purdue OWL website. Then we get into the assignments. So of course there's a grammar quiz. Grammar quiz number 5 is dealing with comma usage relating to conjunctions and overuse of commas. Then we have a discussion board assignment. Let me open that up. And this one is asking you to think about the various aspects of a print advertisement. This ad was created by the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC. It's a public service ad. So I just want you to make some observations. Again, this is your discussion board post. I don't know why I can't talk today. In this. And the things that I want you to observe about this print advertisement is to pay attention to how the various elements work together to present a certain message to a certain audience. So look at the written words. How are they written? I want you to think about things like font and color, the size of the words, where they're placed. Notice there's various placements of words in the scene. Think about the visual elements, the various things that you observe, colors and that kind of thing, logos, audio elements. So even though this isn't a commercial, if it were to be translated into a commercial, think about the audio elements that you might hear. What sounds would you hear in the scene? Would there be any kind of music? Same with movement. If it suddenly came to life and became a commercial, what kind of movements might you observe? This is just a still shot. Are there other people that might be involved in this scene? Maybe they're off scene, but you hear their voices, that kind of thing. And lastly, expressions and gestures. Is there anything about this child in a bath that indicate that there might be some gestures or expressions? Does she seem happy, sad, neutral? So those are the types of things that I want you to talk about in your discussion board post. The idea is just to think about the various elements and how that they are rhetorically effective in this given text, especially in advertisements. The initial post is due June 11th, and then I would like you to respond to 2 peers by the following Wednesday, June 14th. Back to the assignments. We will talk again about the rhetorical analysis rough draft. So I did a separate video talking a little bit more about what is rhetorical analysis. So please make sure that you watch that video. It will help make more sense of the assignment. So this is based off of the prompt that John Warner uses in the writer's practice, the one called Who Are We? I'd like you to write an essay of 3 to 4 pages, so roughly 800 to 1,000 words, in which you examine not only the text of an advertisement, but also the subtext. What is really being sold here besides a product or a service? So I have an outline that will help you a little bit. In your introduction, you want to think about what the ad is for. So you want to summarize the context of the ad, that you want to make sure that you include the company or the product and your thesis. What is the ad doing or saying, and who is the intended audience? Who's the target audience for the advertisement? Draft a complete but concise summary of the text. I want you to aim for about 5 to 8 sentences, and then make sure to include the title of the advertisement. So if you're looking at YouTube and you have a video of the ad, then you would include that in your introduction and or the product that's being advertised, as well as the name of the company. Make sure that your introduction grabs the interest of the reader also. In your body paragraphs, you'll go into greater detail of the ad so your audience understands the context for your essay. Remember, not everybody is going to be watching the commercial or the advertisement that you are responding to, that you're writing about. So you need to make sure that you provide details, enough details that your audience understands the context of for the essay. If there's background information that your audience needs, provide it in this paragraph. So for example, I had some students writing about one of the Super Bowl commercials. It was Popcorners, I think, and it was based off of a Breaking Bad episode, right? So anybody who hasn't watched the television series Breaking Bad might not understand the context. So that's the kind of background information I'm talking about. If there's a story there that would help the viewer understand that commercial, then you need to let your audience know about it as well, right? Don't assume that they know what's going on. Again, you want to explain the context and the target audience. Where was the ad published? Who was the audience? Show the reader how the components of the ad are designed to target the audience and what might be the values of the audience. Then you also want to consider various rhetorical strategies, and that can be as many paragraphs as necessary. So you want to be thinking, of course, about the rhetorical appeals. So the appeals to emotion, logic, credibility. I also include timeliness, which is a different appeal that we haven't really talked about, that I haven't introduced to you. But timeliness also can come into play. So how does this author utilize one or all of the approaches? And remember that texts rarely utilize only one of the appeals, but they don't have to have all of them, right? It's okay if there's only one or two. They don't have to all be involved. Think about things like deliberate style or structure, um, deliberate word choice. How does the creator use language to get a particular audience interested in the product? The use of evidence, right? The use of repetition, things like the use of images or audio, color, typography, pacing, all of those things are used deliberately to have a desired effect on a certain audience. So I want you to think about that and think deeply about it. And then in your conclusion, you want to recap and discuss any cultural implications or ideas. So this is where you're going to get into what Warner calls the subtext. What is it that they're really trying to sell an audience? Is it a certain value? Is it a certain lifestyle? What is it besides a product that the advertisers are trying to sell us? You'll be writing more about the techniques the author uses than the topic of the piece, but you may discover that to judge its effectiveness fully, you need to think about how the text contributes to a debate or asks or answers an important question. And that is that subtext that Warner talks about. As far as the submission details, you need to make sure you're writing in complete sentences and using paragraphs. And to review information on how a college essay assignment should be formatted according to MLA style guidelines. Again, if MLA is completely new to you, I have provided resources for you so that you understand what's expected in a college writing assignment. It looks a certain way, it's typed up a certain way so that it makes it easier for your instructor and anybody else reviewing your paper to read it. So we have the MLA format guidelines. I also provide an MLA sample paper. Remember, it needs to be typed and uploaded as a document file on Canvas. Typically, it's best to submit Microsoft Word in a doc or docx format or as a PDF. If you use Google Docs, please remember to save or upload, download it to your computer as a Word doc or a PDF. And then you can upload that file to Canvas. Please do not share a link to your Google account because that just makes it that much difficult. Those of you who are Mac users, please do not submit a Pages file format. It's completely unreadable. Any file that is uploaded and is unreadable, I will give you a 0 and I'll send you a note to let you know that you need to submit it either as a doc or a PDF file. Otherwise, if I can't read your paper, then obviously I can't grade it and make comments and feedback and help you to improve. So even though this rough draft is not worth any points, you'll see it's worth 0 points right here. It is marked on a complete or incomplete basis. So I don't believe in dinging students on the quality of their work for a rough draft. It's a rough draft. You have to improve on it. So either it's complete or incomplete. You must submit a rough draft prior to being assigned a draft to review for peer review. So peer review will be coming up the following Sunday. That peer review will be due Sunday the 18th. So it's important that you get your rough draft in as soon as you possibly can. If you need an extension, that is fine, but you need to communicate with me. That way I will know that I have to go into the system and manually assign a classmate's paper to you so that you can do the peer review assignment for the following week. So the problem with late assignments when we're doing peer review is just that it makes it difficult to, if you submit a draft late, past the due date, Canvas does not automatically assign I need to be made aware and I need to go in and make sure that you are assigned a paper so that you can complete the following assignment. You will see here that there is a rubric for the assignment. I'll be judging you on whether or not you write a decent introduction, have some kind of a thesis, and also have a conclusion. I will also be looking for rhetorical situation and appeals to make sure that you actually understand the assignment. Also, we'll be looking at things like organization. Is there a smooth flow of ideas? Do they go logically from one to the other, or are you bouncing all over a place and not really having a good stream of thought? I will also be looking at things like audience awareness. Do you engage the audience? Are you using language in an interesting way? And then lastly, I'll look at language use and mechanics. So things like spelling, grammar, word order, sentence structure, punctuation, making sure that you use paragraphs, doing formatting, and that kind of thing. Those all come into play, and this will be the same rubric that I use for the revised draft. Um, so I think that is it as far as the things I wanted to let you know about the rhetorical analysis assignment. Again, down here, we have the reminder that there is peer review due on Sunday the 18th. Again, urging you to complete your rough draft and submit it as soon as you possibly can. And that if you need an extension, you need to contact me so I know what's going on and can manually assign a peer paper once you have submitted your rough draft. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns in the meantime, you know how to get in touch with me. And if you need extra help, I encourage you to reach out to the tutors at Learning Commons, especially at UC Claremont. I sent you an announcement in week 3 for the contact information for Dr. Don Peteroy and his staff at UC Claremont. If you're affiliated with another college, you're free to contact the people who work in Learning Commons at your whatever branch you're going for. But since I teach on the Claremont campus, I know Don very well and I feel very confident sending people his way because he is just fantastic working with students. He really loves his job. So if you need help, I encourage you to reach out to the tutors at Learning Commons. Okay, everybody, take care and good luck. Bye bye.